Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy. Today we are going back and listening to the recovered version of my last interview that I did with Jeff. I threw out part of it last week, but I've still been piecing it together. If you listen to last week's, you know that we had trouble getting the audio to work. Not really the audio equipment, it was actually the connection over Skype or FaceTime. I can't remember what we used. So I pieced that together. We're talking about Major League Baseball this time. Some of the games we talk about are pretty old by now probably, because it took me a while to get this one up with the NFL Combine and everything. But it's still topical. We talk about how many games there are in a season and how they go ahead and get fans in the stands for those. And comparing those to other sports, I think baseball could go the way, of getting out ahead of them, the other sports, because they have more content. And content is king right now, especially live content. So baseball is perfect in a bar because you can be drinking beer and checking up on the game, see the score. Everything's very statistical. So you can see how many people are on base, how many outs are left. It's all numbers. So you can watch, you can talk to your buddy, tune back into the game, and either miss a hit. They'll show a replay if you did, or go back. And it's kind of more of a relaxing game. It's something that can be on all the time. Other games people say are more exciting. I know I'm a big fan of baseball. I played baseball. And that's one of the reasons why, if it gets going to where it's better in person, you're going to see more teams want to spring up, because some of these stadiums, these monstrosities they build, they're not getting the fans. So I think what you're going to see is some type of relegation system in the future where you have multiple cities that can support a smaller stadium, kind of like minor league baseball is now. They just go ahead and then they play out for the right to compete in the World Series later on. Think of like Little League World Series, where teams from all over the country, they compete, and then they go ahead and then they have a tournament based in regions, and then those regions go ahead and they play again for the Little League World Series for the United States Championship, and then they go ahead and play the World. Baseball doesn't have to play the World. They can just keep it in the United States if they want to. They have the opportunity to play the World, just like Little League World Series. I don't know if it would ever go that far, but I think it's something that they can draw in more fans if it's all going to be about who's watching what game, instead of getting rid of 162 games. I may have mentioned this before on a previous podcast, and it's something that I'm going to put on paper here soon. That's where they go ahead and incorporate the first half of the season, more of like regional play, as part of the 162 games. And so you can go ahead, everyone's hyped for opening day. Now let's get more cities into it. By the time summer rolls around, teams are eliminated. Some people tune out. If your team already is in the negatives here in May, when we're about to launch this, there's a good chance they're not going to recover. And you can see people get suspended. For the Pirates, off the top of my head, I know their season's pretty much done. They've battled back, and maybe they can get a run going, but with only a limited amount of playoff spots, you kind of know, and you see that in the attendance. The attendance will go ahead and drop off. So we kind of talk about baseball. Got most of the conversation, so I hope you enjoy it. And check us back. We have been continuing to work on some sponsorships. We got some coming in to work towards some live shows and the expansion of this show. It's happening a little bit slower because I'm in the process of looking to see if we can get a studio set up for live streaming instead of just doing it on the fly or random places or just like at my house by the computer. So that's what I'm working on now. I don't have a timetable for that, but I'm hoping within the next month or two we'll start to roll that out. So follow us on Twitter, follow us or like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. Starting to put out content, starting to build a pretty good following. Send us messages. We always try to comment back if people do. So here we go. Interview with Jeff Enjoy. Dude, last night the Tigers blew it. They got swept by the Rays, but there was a big play where the second baseman, he caught the ball in a double play, or maybe it was a shortstop, and he like carried over, like he was not in the base path.
Yeah.
He threw the ball sidearm and hit Justin Upton right in the hand. And they were like, "Oh, that's runner interference." I'm like, he slid. And he slid like this, like, you know how they teach you to keep your hands up so you don't like jam your wrists or whatever.
Yeah.
He slid like his hands were up, and the guy, like, it was not a normal throw. Like, he reached his arm all the way down and hit him right in the hand. And so they went and they did this review, and it took 10 minutes. I'm like, are they going to call? Like, the announcers kept saying, "Oh, they're going to call him out. He has to be out." I'm like, he's in the baseline. Like, if anything. Well, actually, I don't even know. They don't have fielder's interference, do they? I guess they do.
Yeah, they do.
But
you have to. It's just like catching a ball. You have to give. What's the rules? Like, you have to give him an equal opportunity to catch the ball and like make the base or whatever. It's something like that.
Yeah, it was weird. But he goes in. He has his hands just like he's sliding, and the guy who reaches down. He like makes a weird sidearm throw. He still gets it to the guy at first. They're just like a step short. And so they were like, they didn't really challenge it. So I don't know how the umps went to the booth. It didn't make any sense to me. I'm not up to date on the new MLB replay rules, but they shouldn't have been replaying it. I don't know. That's what made me mad. Other than that, Cabrera's been on a tear. It's awesome to watch him. He crushed a home run. He left the other game with his back sore, and I was worried about that, but
yeah, you need him to succeed. But I think the rule is, honestly, with the replays, if I remember correctly, you get one replay in the first 7 innings, and then from the 7th inning on, you get one replay only. Yeah. So it basically allows a team, if they like challenge a play in the first 3 innings, and just in case you play 14 innings, you're not stuck without a replay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. I don't think either team called for a replay. Like, it just seemed like the umps were like, "We better check this out to make sure he didn't interfere." Yeah. So, like, I don't know if they have a booth, or, like, I don't think the other team, like, used a challenge on it. It was just weird, and it was a complete time killer. And it was something that I would see once and be like, "No, don't throw the ball like an idiot. Like, throw normal, and then your hand won't hit him." And then we wouldn't have this. And then they're both holding their wrists. I'm like, yeah, well, no shit. You just collided. Basically hands. It was like a non-high five where you just smack your wrist against the other guy.
Yeah.
But it was the weirdest play I've seen all year so far.
The funny part is, like, every time I see, a penalty or replay in football, I think about how much time it kills. Baseball is the absolute worst. Not only is baseball the slowest sport in the world, if you have a 10-minute replay, it absolutely kills the flow of the game like nothing I've ever seen.
Oh, I agree. And that's why I don't understand why, with today's technology, there are replays at all. Like, there should be a guy in the booth that just makes the call. Like, why doesn't that happen in any sport?
Well, that's the problem with baseball. It's literally the oldest, like, it resists change more than any other sport. So they want to keep it as true as it originally was in, like, 1908. They want to keep it the same. So the problem is they don't want to, they want a person making the final decision. It honestly doesn't make much sense to me, but they want to keep with the old traditions and everything. They don't want baseball to change. But the problem is everything in life changes. So you have a game, which I love baseball, but you have a game that hasn't changed much since its origins. I don't understand how it's possible.
Well, everyone in the media always gives them crap about not changing and they're losing fans and stuff. But after I ran the podcast, was it 2 weeks ago? And I talked about the opening week. I looked at the attendance numbers and they're through the roof this year.
Really?
Yeah, like the average is like still higher than the NBA and NHL. Some of them are like in the 50s or 40s maybe. Maybe the Dodgers. I don't know what the largest stadium is. But even like the lower teams, like they're still pulling like 16,000 fans or more, like 20,000. So it's outrageous because it's all these games have been at like 1 o'clock. Like, how are people attending them?
Well, I think the statistics on that is skewed because all my friends I know from college, every year they're like, dude, let's go to Pirates game. Let's go to Pirates games. Like the home opener, everything is such an event, and then the first couple of weeks they want to go like nothing else. But then once you get into the later of April into May, everyone forgets about baseball season until essentially the All-Star break then. So I don't know. I think it's kind of skewed because you have those games like the first 20 games, everyone is dead set on going to and interested in, and then the interest just fades off until the All-Star break.
Well, just a reminder to the fans out there, you do live in Pittsburgh, so by that time the Pirates are usually eliminated.
Yeah, for many of years, by the All-Star game, they were already waiting for the Steelers to play.
Yeah, so maybe that's why. But I think what happens is a lot of the attendance they count, they have to count like corporation tickets. Because I've been watching the Tigers. They played the Rays, was it a week or two ago now? By the time this will come out, and seats were almost all empty. And that they're not pulling the 16,000 or 17,000 that they are announcing because I could hand count them like the fans. Miggy crushes a home run, and then I have to watch like 3 dudes from like 3 completely different sections run and try to get the ball because there's no one sitting out in the outfield.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one thing that's pretty entertaining. I know I've been at Pirates games before, and they're like, oh my God, there's a sold-out crowd, and I look around, I'm like, this stadium's barely half full. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what those statistics are, if the tickets were actually sold and people didn't show up or what.
Yeah, they have to pull tickets sold, and a lot of them are like corporate sponsors where they'll pay for blocks, and then a lot of times the Pirates will resell them, or whoever the team is, they resell them at the gate. Because for opening day for the Pirates, was it 2 or 3 years ago by now? Me and my buddy walked in, got $30 seats right behind home plate. There were corporate seats. We actually met the guy in line that like they were his corporation seats or whatever. He said, yeah, we just couldn't get enough guys to go. They're like, so it's cool if you guys want to come have a few beers with us. So that's basically what we did.
Yeah.
So they're available. It just sucks that you can't go on to the ticket office and actually get tickets down there until about the day of the game when there are going to be seats. So it's just a bummer that they can't figure out a system in today's day and age where have some online marketplace where if these corporations are buying tickets or making their donations and they want to make some money back, put them up for sale. I don't know. But I think a lot of it has to do with that stupid seat licensing thing too. Because now when you get season tickets, you pay for the seat license. And if you don't renew the tickets, then you lose your seat license. So the corporations don't want to lose that. So they have to just keep buying the tickets even if they're not going to use them. And then it doesn't open up for fans.
I will say this, though. I don't know how many different ballparks are out through the country, like how their situations are in the city. But the one thing, if you do live in Pittsburgh and you're a college student, towards the end of the semester, maybe summer classes, one of the best things to do, honestly, is go down to Rivers for happy hour, have a few drinks. It's really cheap. And then in the North Shore, they have open container policies. You can grab a couple of beers and walk towards the stadium. It's awesome. You get real cheap beers, go to the stadium, and the best part is before some of those games in the summer, I think we got tickets for $9 off StubHub. Like, you can't beat that for a night game. It's unbelievable.
That's some good advice, and we'll end with that. Follow us on Twitter. We're on Instagram, and check us out. We're going to be rolling out some live content here soon. So thank you for listening to the Southbound Sports Show.